All right, Cara, you have to go back to the beginning there, and I think we can get started.
Yep.
Hi, everyone. My name is Laura Kasper, and I am the owner of Monarch Staffing. We have been putting people to work in the Philadelphia and Tri-County region for close to 20 years and placed them as over 10,000 candidates and job seekers in jobs. So today, I'm going to share with you some insider tips that we've learned along the way from our clients, recruiters, hiring managers, and even candidates like yourself, as to what really makes it go up during the interview and you get hired, and the things that are just not that great. So you got to remember a couple things, is that, when you go into an interview, the people that you're interviewing with most likely have been trained and have been perfecting and practicing their interviewing skills probably for years. So they've been trained typically how to do that. And for the average job seeker, sometimes it causes a lot of anxiety. People get nervous when they go into an interview. They might have the, kind of sweaty palms. So, my job here today is, like with anything, to give you the knowledge, to equip you that you can go ahead and practice your interviewing skills. And that's why we're here, to be able to share some of the insider tips that we've learned along the way. Some quick housekeeping. I have my assistant Carly on the line with us. We're going to monitor the chat. So we do have some questions, and we're going to be giving away some Wawa gift cards. Typically, I do these at career link centers, and I have a lot of candy to give out, so no candy via Zoom. So we're going with the Wawa gift cards. We have some really great books that we're going to share with you, and some of these tips. One is how to sell yourself in an interview, so we're going to give that away. And then we'll share the name of these books with you, and the only job search you'll ever need. So if you are on the call, please mute yourself just so we can, not have any distractions. And we will also have the information again. We'll ask you to put some information into the chat as we get closer. So, let's get started. So how do we succeed in the interview, and how do we sharpen our skills? We're going to share with you the insider tips, what hiring managers won't tell you, but Monarch Staffing is going to. So did you ever walk out of the interview and say, oh yeah, man, I got this job. I know I got it, hands down, I landed the job. And then you didn't get the call. You didn't get the job. Sometimes you didn't hear anything, like just crickets, like nothing, never, for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, lost in the black hole of we don't even know what happened. So did that ever happen? And if it did, what I want you to do is just really quick, write down in the chat, why do you think that was? Why do you think maybe you didn't get the call? We're not going to share your names. We're just going to call out some things. So why do you think maybe you didn't get the call? Here's the thing. Hindsight's 20/20. We all make mistakes, but sometimes the mistakes you make in an interview could cost you a job. We don't want to have that happen. So let me see if there's anyone that has like any little tidbits here that they might want to share. The goal is to get you the job.
So a couple people, so a couple people are saying just personality, not having the right experience, maybe being nervous.
Yeah.
Maybe age was playing a factor.
Mm-hmm.
Bunch of reasons.
Yeah, I mean, and they could all well come into play. I mean, these things happen. We're going to talk about in this session, we're going to learn, what the hiring managers are looking for, and, what is it that you can do differently in that interview. Yep. Get the next one. Yep. So here's the thing. What's the turnoff in an interview? We've asked hiring managers, we talked to recruiters. What happens in an interview that the recruiter completely blanks out and knows at that time, right in the middle? They're so subjective sometimes. Most of the times they are, all the time, that, this person's not getting the job. We asked hiring managers, what would just put the big X? Why would you not move forward with this person? And then what would you like to have seen the candidate, with everyone else equal, what do you want to see them do differently? What are some of the things that maybe could have changed? And then with all else being equal and the playing field is totally level, why did one person say yes and you moved that person forward and the other person you said no? So these are some of the things that we're going to go over with you in this presentation. We all know typically how to interview. We're well educated, most of us here. We all know that we want to dress professional, we want to look good, we want to answer great questions, we want to have eye contact. But just because we know what to do doesn't mean behavior follows that way. So I'm going to encourage you that after this after our session, you know, it's okay to do a practice Zoom interview with any one of your colleagues or friends or coworkers or people that might have time that, you know, you can do a practice interview with, a practice video interview. I really want to encourage that, because just because we know what to do doesn't mean we always do the right thing. So practice knowledge. So just a quick little video here. You never get a second chance to make a good first impression. This is one of our mottos.
Thanks for coming in. It was nice meeting you, and we will be in touch.
Thank you. The job offer sounds great, but I'm not too sure about that. I am sure I'd like to ask you out, though.
Well, let me tell you a little bit about this job. It's got a lot of upward mobility for the right person. You'd be responsible for the customer service department. Approximately 30 people. The company is growing and it wants to be excellent at customer service.
I see you have supervisory experience.
Yes, I had 4 people reporting to me.
How would you describe yourself as a supervisor?
I was fair. I gave everyone an equal chance. I listened when they had problems, and I communicated well.
Well, thank you for coming in. We'll give you a call if the company would like to interview you themselves.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so hopefully that just lightened the mood a little bit. I'm sure that none of you are going to do any of those crazy things in the middle of an interview, but things have happened. So here's what we're going to talk about, the 4 types of interviews. So, you know, what would you say are the 4 types of interviews? Does anybody want to just give a quick shout out in the chat? Typically, whoever gets all 4 right first, I'm going to send them the Wawa gift card. So just make sure you get your address to, your name to Carly. Typically 4 types of interviews. You have it, Car?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay.
All right. Recruiter, HR, hiring manager, executive, behavioral experience, behavioral, one-on-one, roundtable, phone, online, in-person, phone, panel, virtual, phone, in-person, online, panel.
Does anybody have all 4?
Yep.
Okay. So typically we're doing, when we think about the 4 types of interviews, and this is what we're going to go over today for the prep. The phone interview is typically a phone screen. The video interview, the in-person interview, and Carly, I'm blanking.
Panel.
Panel, excuse me. The panel interview, yes, panel interviews. And sometimes the panel interview, it can cause the greatest angst for sure. Let's talk about the prep before we actually get into the whole interview. I mean, nowadays the internet is full of information about the company, the name of the person you're going to interview with. You can certainly look that person up on LinkedIn. Try to find a common ground, maybe even before you get in. But don't go into too much crazy stalker mode. Like, don't look at their Facebook or anything like that, because sometimes that gets a little weird. So you want to make the interviewer feel comfortable, and just as they want to make you feel comfortable. The best place to go for questions and things like that to look at on a company website is the press releases, things that are happening now. What are the companies doing now? That's really important to look there. And then write down, it is certainly acceptable and it's suggested that when you go into an interview, whether you're going to be going into a phone interview, a Zoom interview, in person, or even in panel, that you take your portfolio, anything that you have written down. You can certainly jot down 3 things that you know about the company. You can write down 3 questions that you want to ask the interviewer. You might even write some bullet points as to how you go about answering those behavioral questions. So it's definitely recommended. You can go in prepared and definitely bring a couple copies of your resume along the way. So let's talk about the phone screen. It's really, recruiters and hiring managers, agencies, you know, all of us, we use the phone interview really to kind of narrow that applicant funnel to a candidate funnel. And we're really kind of trying to get maybe just a couple key things answered, you know, maybe finding out about minimum qualifications, maybe finding out about, depending if you have to be on site or you're virtual, may or may not matter location. But the impression that you create in those couple seconds, and even the phone, if you have a voicemail message on your phone, I mean, think about how that sounds, and it doesn't sound professional enough when you're in job seeking mode. I know some moms who have their kids answering their phone and making a message. So it's better to keep it personal. That's really, really, and keep it professional. But the opening moments, you know, when we talked about people looking at the resume, we have 6 seconds. Well, on the phone, that really drops to like 3 or 4 seconds. So, you know, your tone of voice, how you sound, what's happening. And it is certainly okay and suggested too, that if you are driving and you do happen to pick up the call and it is a company or recruiter calling you and saying, do you have time to talk? You can certainly step out of the zone and say, you know what, I am driving, I picked up the call, I knew it was coming from you, I'm looking for a job. Is it okay if we reschedule it for 2 o'clock this afternoon or 1 o'clock, or pull over to the side of the road? But do not take the call while driving. It's really important, and it's certainly acceptable. So we're going to talk about the virtual and in-person secrets. Yeah. So here's the thing about the dress. So even if you're on a Zoom interview, you want to make sure that your attire looks good. I actually had a candidate working and doing some outplacement, and she told me just the other day is that, and I don't know if it's legal or not, just ask my employment attorney this, that at the end of the interview, the recruiter asked her to stand up. I thought that was the strangest thing. Like, I don't know, she was thinking she had sweats and sneakers on underneath. I just thought that was the craziest thing. But color choice, we'll talk about that for a minute. We're going to go over and talk about technology. We're going to review. I never knew how important lighting was in camera angles, so I started working on Zoom. Environment, and even the time of day. Anybody want to guess the 3 colors that you should never wear during an interview? We'll give away one of our books.
Do you want us to do that through chat, or would you?
Yeah, we'll do it through chat. The 3 colors that you should not wear during an interview. We'll give away this book for that.
Someone said red, hot pink, and yellow.
Close. Red's one of them, but if anybody can get all 3.
Pink, yellow, red.
Close. Red is definite, because red just means stop. It's a bad thing all around. Even when you're in sales, you never wear red. What is it, Car?
White, black, and red.
No, white and black are good colors to wear.
Red,
no
orange,
colors.
green. Orange, yellow, white. Red, green, brown.
Somebody's Googling it. I know somebody's going to get it. But that's okay if you don't get it. We'll just save the book for the next one. Yeah, anybody
Red,
other choices?
Orange. Red, purple, orange. Red, yellow, orange. Red, yellow, green.
Orange is one of them. Red and orange are one of them. It's actually suggested the red, orange, and brown. Now, you would think brown is a neutral color, but for some reason, it brings a negative connotation. The best colors to wear are neutral. Your blacks, your whites, green is okay to wear. Any kind of shade of blue, grays. So, you know, you want to, you know, keep it. Yeah, Carver, to the next one. Yeah, it was interesting. So some things about the interview and the video. I mean, like I just mentioned to everybody, I have a dog. If you're in the house and you're taking an interview and you're doing a phone interview, you're doing a video interview, you know, if you have a dog, just acknowledge it. Definitely answer the call yourself. Make sure you look good, and definitely not while you're driving. Yeah. So here's are some things that are appropriate. Most of us on the call know this. Most companies, you know, you can never be too dressed for an interview, except, you know, if you are interviewing on a casual Fridays and most people are working from their homes, you can dress a little casual, especially for women. A really nice scarf can kind of dress up a nice blouse. I always kind of suggest that, especially for women in the summer. It's hot. You might not want to wear a jacket or anything like that. Men, I always suggest just a plain collar shirt. You might not need to have the tie. You can kind of get rid of that. But a few things you definitely do not want to do. So too much of this, too much of the jewelry, too much of the casual, just more of a relax. And it depends. I mean, if you're interviewing at Urban Outfitters, then maybe you might want to wear the jean jacket and things. But most companies, it's just not appropriate. I mean, there have been hiring managers and recruiters that have said, I'm not moving forward because of the way this person was dressed at the interview. Not appropriate. Yeah. Think about technology. I mean, this is the big thing in today's world. We're all in the middle of this together. And, you know, most of our interviews these days are being done via Zoom or Microsoft Teams or Skype or some kind of video. So, you know, think about how you're going to take this call, this video call. Is it going to be on your phone? And if it's on your phone, please get a tripod. I literally got seasick a few weeks ago when I was on an interview with somebody, a motion sickness rather, because the phone was going back and forth and it was wavy. And I'm very prone to motion sickness. So I asked the person, please put it in a stand or put it somewhere where it's not moving. So little things that you don't think about create distractions for the interviewer. So if you have a tablet or a phone, make sure it's on a stand. The computer is pretty steady. You might want to have it lifted up a little bit. But then again, not only how you're going to take the call, but the programs are just as important. Do you want to download Zoom onto your computer or your laptop or your iPad or your phone? Do you have to get a Microsoft Office, or do you need to do Zoom, you know, or a GoToMeeting? So these technologies are out there. So when you are scheduling your interview or the interviewer scheduling it, make sure you find out what kind of program they're going to be using. And don't let them just say it's a video interview. Find out, are they going to be doing Microsoft Teams, Zoom, Skype, whatever it is. Especially today's world, we're all home doing these interviews. So be ready for it. Think about the technology choice. Gosh, the camera angle. Who would have thunk it? I'm always used to interviewing and I'm in person. But, you know, camera angle is really important. It's always suggested to have your device higher than you are. So it's more flattering to kind of tilt the computer down. This is the one thing you don't want to have on the video screen, which is really, really important. So I suggest before you get on screen, make sure you look at yourself. Make sure you kind of review everything and do a practice shot. Turn your phone around and see how you look. This is what you don't want to see. I've seen interviews like this. This is a little crazy. You can't see the person. You don't know what's going on. So the camera angle is really, really important. So make sure that the camera angle looks good and is flattering for you. And just easy. If you don't have a stand, just pop up a couple books and put it up higher than you. Yeah. Think about your background. So you can't see it, but right to the right of me, I have a door here. I'll just turn it that way. See that door? That is dangerous when it comes to video interviewing. Anybody at any time can walk through that door. So do yourself a favor, check what's behind you. See what's in the picture. If you have pictures of your kids and your family behind you, maybe you might not want to do that for a video interview. If you have something that's a positive motivational saying, maybe that's something that you want to put behind you. So you do have to set up your environment and set up your background to bring you the best light in a video interview. The door is dangerous. I just say put a little note on there that says video interview in progress. Do your family chat, ask everybody to keep quiet. Make sure you communicate to people that you're going to be on a video interview. It's super distracting to get interrupted in the middle of an interview. Lighting. So here's what's really important. So when I first started, when I was doing these, our Zooms, we've been doing video interviewing and talking with all of our employees, my light was behind me. It was backlit. But it's really important that the lighting is in front of you. And windows can be dangerous because it could be really dark out or it could be really bright and sunny out. So I would suggest maybe not next to a window, and if it is, maybe it's on your side so it looks a little better and it could be a little more flattering. What happens is when it's in a dark thing, you can't see the person, and you really, you're talking to the person, so you want to hear them, you want to visually see them, you want to see their facial expressions. So you lose that when the lighting isn't right. So try to put a light in front of you if you can. That would be really, really helpful.
Laura, on the topic of backgrounds, somebody actually brought up the virtual backgrounds.
Yes, so you can download the virtual backgrounds. They are very, very much acceptable. I don't have it on my end because I'm giving a presentation now. Sometimes they make your head look wobbly. Definitely use that. Thank you. Download them if you can. If you're on Zoom, you can do that. I don't know who else has it. I'm not sure Microsoft Teams has that. I don't think they have that yet, but I know Zoom has the virtual backgrounds. Make it professional. You can just get a really nice picture off of Google and make that be your background. They have some sample backgrounds. They have San Francisco and some easy ones. Just don't make it be anything crazy or anything that would deter you from getting the job. Thank you for that, whoever suggested that. Thank you. So the environment and limit distractions. We talked about the dog in the office. Definitely hang your little note. Be careful of the door behind you and who's going to come in. Also to be careful of doing this in your bedroom. That's a private spot. And if you don't have a virtual background teed up behind you, you might not want to reconsider that and get a virtual background. And if you have Canva, if anybody knows Canva, if you have Canva, you can certainly make your virtual backgrounds on Canva as well. And here's something that people forget when it comes to interviewing, whether it be in person, on the phone, a panel, or a video. Think about the time of day that you're scheduling your interview. You know yourself better than anyone. Are you a morning person and you're up at 6 o'clock in the morning and you're at your best and brightest and you look like the person on the right-hand side of the screen here? Or, do you look like the other person there and you're scheduling yourself an 8 o'clock interview, but you're not really a morning person? Don't do it. Try to reschedule it. Make it be later. People always forget about this stuff. And this is really easy. Think about you, know yourself, play to your strengths. It's the best advice that I can give you when you think about interviewing. Many people forget this, so I really want to just talk about it. This is a great video. I'm going to show you this Amy Cuddy video. This talks about really kind of psyching yourself up. And a lot of times when you do this, when you go in for an interview, in your head, you got to mentally prepare yourself for this interview. And here's a little quick tip on how you can do that. She's one of my favorites.
So I want to start by offering you a free, no-tech life hack. And all it requires of you is this, that you change your posture for 2 minutes. I became especially interested in nonverbal expressions of power and dominance. And what are nonverbal expressions of power and dominance? Well, so in the animal kingdom, they are about expanding. So you make yourself big, you stretch out, and humans do the same thing. So they do this both when they have power sort of chronically, and also when they're feeling powerful in the moment. So powerful people tend to be, not surprisingly, more assertive and more confident. Physiologically, there also are differences on 2 key hormones, testosterone, which is the dominance hormone, and cortisol, which is the stress hormone. We decided to bring people into the lab and run a little experiment. And these people adopted for 2 minutes high power poses or low power poses. And I'm just going to show you 5 of the poses, although they took on only 2. This is what happens. They come in, they spit into a vial. We, for 2 minutes, say, you need to do this or this. We then ask them, how powerful do you feel on a series of items? And then we take another saliva sample. Here's what we find on testosterone. From their baseline when they come in, high-power people experience about a 20% increase, and low-power people experience about a 10% decrease. Here's what you get on cortisol. High-power people experience about a 25% decrease, and the low-power people experience about a 15% increase. So 2 minutes lead to these hormonal changes that configure your brain to basically be either assertive, confident, and comfortable, or really stress-reactive. But the next question, of course, is, can power posing for a few minutes really change your life in meaningful ways? And so what matters, where you want to use this is evaluative situations. We decided that the one that most people could relate to was the job interview. What do you do before you go into a job interview? You do this, right? You're sitting down, you're looking at your notes, you're hunching up, making yourself small, when really what you should be doing maybe is this, like in the bathroom. Okay, so we bring people into a lab and they do either high or low power poses again. They go through a very stressful job interview. It's 5 minutes long. They are being recorded. They're being judged also. We then have these coders look at these tapes, 4 of them. They're blind to the hypothesis. They're blind to the conditions. They have no idea who's been posing in what pose. They end up looking at these sets of tapes and they say, oh, we want to hire these people, all the high power posers. We don't want to hire these people. But what's driving it? It's not about the content of the speech. It's about the presence that they're bringing to the speech. The last thing I'm going to leave you with is this. Tiny tweaks can lead to big changes. Before you go into the next stressful evaluative situation, for 2 minutes, try doing this in the elevator, in a bathroom stall, at your desk behind closed doors. That's what you want to do. Configure your brain to cope the best in that situation. Get your testosterone up, get your cortisol down, and it can significantly change the outcomes of their life. Thank you.
She is one of my favorite. So just a simple tweak, this kind of resonates with me. I have daughters that play volleyball and, before they go in, they're listening to their hype music. Athletes do this. Before they go onto the field, they listen to their hype music. Why can't we as job seekers listen to our hype music, do the power poses, stand up, feel strong, get your testosterone going? It really can make a big difference, and it's a small, tiny tweak. So going to the interview, and let's say you do go in person, because nowadays companies are starting to come back. I've talked to many clients over the past 2 weeks, and they're doing video interviews, and now they're starting to bring people into the office for interviews. But you really want to think of a couple things. Number one, what are the COVID protocols? We are in the middle of a pandemic. So what do you need to be prepared for coming in? Are you wearing a mask? Typically that answer is going to be yes. You want to get there early. Do you know the person? Where you're going, to maybe take a quick, a little drive by. And if you're not sure on how to pronounce the person's name, please make sure you get that. I can't tell you how many times I've talked to recruiters and hiring managers, and they said to me, the candidate was great and wonderful, but they couldn't even pronounce my name, nor did they ask. So just these little tweaks can make a significant difference for you to have an opportunity to land the job. Think about this, when you are showing up in person, who is looking at you and who's watching you? I mean, when you pull into the office, there's going to be a lot less people there than before. But believe me, when you pull in, you don't want to pull in like you're screeching in for like a quick type of thing. People are looking at that. The people who greet you, typically, I'm going to say, probably hedge my bets to say at least 50% of the people at the front desk, if they're not security guards, they report directly to the office manager or human resources, or they have a direct ear to the owner. So that receptionist and greeter is really important that you treat them with respect, because they will certainly give their recommendation of you after you leave for the interview. The recruiter, the department head, the hiring manager, the cleaner, somebody that you see along the way. You need to be nice to everybody on the way up, because you just, like my mom said, you never know who you're going to see on the way down. So just remember, everybody's watching. Who? Everybody. Now we're going to get into some nitty-gritty about the interview questions. Here's the one question that really stumps a lot of job seekers, and it's, why do you want to work at ABC company? So take a look below. Tell me what you think would be the right answer and just enter it in the chat. It looks like a nice place to work. Seems like it might be a good company. It's close to home. The pay is good. My friends work here. The first person that gets this right, we can send him this book now, hopefully.
Immediately we have none.
Okay, good. Great. Whoever said that, that's perfect. That is exactly right. One of my clients, he said to me the other day, she said, when we were talking about this, and I told her I was doing the presentation, I said, what's the worst thing that anybody ever said to you after the interview, or when you asked a question about the interview? And they said, oh, I want to work here because the campus is so nice. She's like, this makes me crazy. Like, have a little bit of substance in your answer. Look at the website, look at their culture, find out what that company is doing. What do you have in common with them? How can you add value? Remember, each one of your questions that you're answering needs to add value, or why would the employer want to hire you? So I really like what I saw about your website. I can do a good job because I'm sharing some of the core values. Definitely know the core values, mission, vision, core values. Even if you want to print it out and put it in your portfolio, not that you're going to be able to remember everything, but have it ready. Make sure your answers have value and substance. So we're going to show a quick video on this. I think it's great.
With uncertainty, you need dependability. Insperity has the HR support to help you.
Hey everyone, this is Self-Made Millennial. I'm Madeline Mann. In this video, I am going to help you craft the perfect in their minds how interested you are. When answering why do you want this job, you can touch on 3 potential areas. First, the team. Talk about the people you've met and how you're inspired by them, how you could learn so much from them, and vice versa, how you could see working well together, and that working with great people makes all of the difference. You know, lob on that sweet praise with true things that you've noticed about them. Next, you can also talk about the company. Discuss what you like about the products, what inspires you about the company's mission, why you're so excited about the future of the industry, and how you feel that the company is aligned with your personal values. And then, of course, talk about the role. Round it out by saying why this role is specifically going to be the stage for which you give your greatest performance. Also, how you're a great fit and how you feel you can make a mondo impact. Now, things I would stay away from in your answer include things like the location, the commute, the salary, benefits. That kind of stuff indicates a lack of passion. You're not choosing a role where you can make the biggest impact on the company. You're choosing a role based on how much the company is giving you. Now, in your mind, you may think that sounds perfectly normal to pick whichever job pays you the most holistically, but companies hire the person who is most intrinsically motivated, because those people generally stay longer at the company and work harder because they enjoy their job instead of constantly chasing the next raise or the next comp increase. Speaking of compensation, I will link one of my most popular videos on how to negotiate your salary. And this one will really help you take the emotion out of the discussion and get a salary well.
What was that, Laura?
I said we'll get there to the next slide.
Yeah.
Beyond what you had imagined. I will link that video in the description. All right, let's talk through a real world example. I was interviewing at a company who reached out to me to come in to interview for them. And we were several.
Hold on, sorry, we're going a little longer. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we got to get to the next one. There we go. There we go. Hit the next slide. Yep. Okay. So, you know, there are some things that are definitely no's, but I really want to touch on these behavioral questions, because when I talk to hiring managers and I talk to recruiters and they say, you know, what happened? We send in a candidate for an interview and then we're getting the feedback and response. Some of the things that people answer just really don't resonate, and they just don't make a difference. So I want you to be ready for these really simple, easy behavioral questions, and it is quite all right to write them down. Actually, at the end of our presentation, we're going to send you the top 10 most frequently asked behavioral questions, and you can get ready for those and write down your answers. And you want to kind of put a positive spin on that. You want to talk to, if you're a customer service person, you've probably been dealing with angry and upset customers most of your life. You should be able to have a really good, one good idea, one good scenario about how you were able to handle an angry customer. If you can't answer that question, maybe you shouldn't be in customer service. So that's going to be something that you're going to be asked. You can Google whatever your field is. If you're in engineering, if you're in recruiting, if you're in administration, if you're in accounting, you can Google the top 10 behavioral questions for accounting, the interviewer's going to ask, the top 10 questions that are going to be asked for an administrative assistant. So there's a lot of knowledge that's out there. So please gain it and really do a good job with practicing it. And certainly write it down when you're bringing it in, and maybe write down your scenarios. So the behavioral questions, you want to talk from real life scenarios, definitely put a positive spin. And this is really, really important. I even talked about it when we did the interviewing, the resume writing session last Wednesday. So here it is. The pro tips is really important. When you're answering a behavioral question, talk about something maybe that you made for the company, something that you saved, and something that you achieved. MSA, made, saved, and achieved. Also, what a situation might be. So what was a crisis that happened? What was your action? What was the result? And then maybe it was a task, something you had to do, an action and a result. Those things are critical, and they're going to help you formulate your answers to a behavioral question that's going to have impact and it's going to make sense. It is certainly okay, and you should walk into the interview with copies of your resume, and you should have highlighted your resume with some of these answers, because they might ask you exactly what's on your resume. You might have on your resume that you saved the company $10 million because you cut overtime. They're going to ask you how you did that. So you need to be able to articulate whatever bullet points you have on your resume and answer the how, because they're going to hire you for that. You don't want to put it on your resume, but you want to have an answer for that. And if you don't have an answer for it, chances are maybe you didn't do it. So recruiters and hiring managers are digging in. They're there to find out where the holes are, where the flaws are, and also to find out, are you a good match for this company? Do you have the skills and qualifications? Have you been in these predicaments before? Can you help us solve a problem? Everybody that's hiring has a problem. Are you the answer? Are you the solution to that problem? These are just some of the frequently asked ones. Give me a time where you had to set a goal. Tell me about a presentation you had to influence somebody. Tell me about a stressful situation. What's something that went wrong? You know, looking back on your career, everything's 2020. Anything you would have changed or done differently? So be ready to answer behavioral questions with real, tangible, make sense kinds of examples. These are no's. I think we talked about that. Don't ever ask at the first interview, sick and vacation time, salary, any of that, just right away. They usually tell you, because that's usually on the phone screen, usually talk about that. You know, what are your salary expectations for the job? You don't have to say it's negotiable, because people hate that. Recruiters, hiring managers hate that. So if you have a certain expectation, then talk about that. You can go to glassdoor.com. You can look up on the internet what those positions pay. Employers are not really allowed to ask anymore, you know, what was your last salary, because that's illegal, but they can ask about the expectation. So never sell yourself short, okay? I mean, you don't want to go crazy. You want to be within reason, but don't sell yourself short. So I want to talk about this, because this is a reason why many candidates, job seekers, never get hired. And you would think, hey, I got the skills and qualifications, I fit with the company and the culture, I have a great rapport with the interviewer, I can do this job, I have proven experience. But at the end of the interview, the recruiter says to you, so, do you have any questions for me? And you say, nope, I think you got it all covered. What does that tell the recruiter and hiring manager? That you're really not interested. Here's the thing, if you don't want the job, say no. Say, nope, I think you got it all covered. Because you, the candidate, you have to be just as selective as the people that are hiring you. And if it doesn't match you, and you heard all about it from the recruiter or the hiring manager, and you don't want to be there, answer this. Say no. Nope, I don't have any more questions. Because you're really not interested. But what I want you to do, because I want you to land the job, and hopefully it's going to be a good fit for you, is I want you to come up with really good questions. You can ask why the job's vacant. You can ask about the expectations for the job. What are the expectations for this position or the person in the first 30, 60, 90 days? You can even put qualifiers on that. Can you tell me a little bit about the culture of the department? What has been your COVID protocols through this pandemic? Ask that question. I mean, that's one question everybody could be answering. What has been your COVID protocols through this pandemic? What are you doing differently? Even ask them what sets you apart, the company apart from their competition. Okay? So remember, those questions are important. People that don't ask questions show that they are uninterested in the job. Many recruiters and hiring managers have told me that they didn't move forward because the candidate seemed uninterested. So right after that happens, it's really important to you to add what I call asking for the job, and it's called closing the interview. So many times candidates walk out of that interview and they're like, yeah, I nailed it, and they didn't get the job. Maybe they didn't meet the skills and qualifications. Maybe they didn't close and ask for it. I'm in sales. I'm always asking for the business. When you're in front of a hiring manager, you want to ask for the job. So, do you think I have the skills and qualifications for this position based on our interview? Put them on the spot, see what they say. If nothing else, you're going to come out of it, well, you know what? I think you might be a little overqualified, or you know what? I didn't really see this in your background and we're really looking for that. And then maybe you have an opportunity to answer that objection. But if you don't ask, you're not going to know that you missed the target. So it's important that you ask the questions so you hit the target and you land the job. And if you're interviewing with a recruiter and the next step is the hiring manager, then ask, would you recommend me for this position based on my skills and qualifications in this interview? It takes a lot of courage, I get it, to ask this question, but it's okay to ask it, and it shows assertiveness, and people want to hire people that are assertive. You can certainly ask, how do you compare with the other candidates you've interviewed? Will I be someone that you would move on to the next step for the interview? You can ask it that way. But definitely remember to ask. So if you go through the first interview and you're lucky enough to get the thumbs up, and hopefully you will because you've practiced, you have the knowledge, you're equipped, you have a great resume, everything went really great. But now you have to either do a second interview with the hiring manager, or now you're forced to sit in front of a panel. Panel interviews happen even on Zoom. So it's your time. I call it the Emerald approach. Kick it up a notch, give it the bam. You know, you really have to be ready to discuss specifics. And I would prepare yourself by combing through your combing through your resume and highlighting some of your really great successes that you've accomplished and really honing in on that. Maybe talking and looking at their website in a little deeper fashion. Maybe talking to somebody that you know that works there. If you know somebody in the department that they're hiring for, what kind of problems are they faced right now? Why do they need this person to come in? If you're in marketing, you might be asked to send or bring a portfolio, a sample of your work. Be ready for that. Have a digital portfolio ready. They're going to still ask you more behavioral questions. And sometimes what happens, I find in companies, you know, it's really important to hire smart, okay? So they might take time with the interview process, and they might bring you in and have one person interview and then the second person interview not in a panel situation. And then they might have the panel, and you might get the same question. You will, in fact, get the same question, probably from the in-person one or the video, the second person, and maybe you might get the same question in panel. And this is why hiring managers and recruiters do that. They want to make sure you're truthful and that you're telling the same story. So that same question can be asked in many different ways, but if you are worth your value and you've done the job and you know it well, it's going to come across to the first person, the second person, and the panel situation, all in the same way. This is how employers, hiring managers kind of trip you up, because they have to find the holes. They want to hire the best person for their company. If you're lying or exaggerating on your resume, maybe they might not want to bring you in. So you're going to get those questions in probably 3 or 4 different ways. Be ready for them. And maybe on that panel interview, you might even be meeting your new boss. So make sure that you are the best you can be, and practice, 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 because the interviewers, the hiring managers, the people that are making those decisions, go to school, learn how to interview. You need to learn how to interview just as well to become the best candidate for the job and to land the job. So let's talk about the panel interview. Again, the portfolio is important. Know the people you're interviewing with. Now's the time that you're ready to go onto LinkedIn. Who do you have in common with them? Do you know their names? Make sure you have their names. Make sure you know what their roles are. See if you have anything in common. Write down the names. Make sure you know how to pronounce the names. You can do so much searching now. And really, really be careful not to run the interview. I can't tell you how many hiring managers and recruiters that I've spoken with over the years that when we called and did a follow-up and said, "So do you want to hire Susie Jane for the job?" The recruiter was like, "She didn't shut up in the middle of the interview. I couldn't get a word in edgewise." I asked her, "Tell me a little bit about yourself and your experience," and it was a 10-minute conversation. That question, "Tell me a little bit about yourself and that experience you have," 2 to 3 minutes max. That's it. Get it down. It should be your top of your resume, your background summary. That's a little bit about yourself and your work experience. You don't need to get into the personal. Really, really important. Pause, say your answer, and let them digest what it is that you're saying. Remember to pause and make sure that you're not controlling the interview, that the recruiter or the hiring manager or the people asking the questions are controlling the interview. All right, we just talked about that. A couple things why you will not get the job. Let me do a quick time check here. Oh, we're good. Okay. So we talked about these. Really important. Don't ever badmouth your last employer. The other thing, people are really hesitant to hire sometimes when they can't get answers from you. If they're asking you a question and you're nervous about it and you can't articulate your skills and qualifications, sometimes that makes the recruiter or the hiring manager uneasy. Not that every accounting person or back office person is a salesperson and can articulate themselves really, really well. But there's ways that you can practice and there's things that you can do to help yourself. And we went over some of those tips. So you might have to put a little extra time into practicing your interview skills if you are an introvert versus if you're an extrovert. Be careful of this. Oh my goodness, social media. So here's the thing. When you go in for the interview, even with the resume, there's software out there that employers have that brings you up and all your social media profiles. So, I mean, it can be a very useful tool and you can talk about great, wonderful things. But if your social media is not cleaned up and there's things on there that don't look good, it's out there. That could be a reason why you might not get hired. So really be careful with it. Really be careful. So what are employers looking for? You know, here's the thing. They want professionalism. They're looking for personality, your communication skills, reliability skills, and qualifications. We all want to hire the same thing, the same type of person in general. And if you can articulate that in an interview, that you have the professionalism, you have good communication skills, you are reliable, the skills and qualifications match, it's like putting a puzzle together, then eventually you will land the job. Okay. So here's the big question, and this is the book we're going to give out right here for this book here, How to Sell Yourself in an Interview. With all candidates being equal, or let's say you come down to 2 candidates, what's the one word or feeling that sets you apart to get hired? I'm going to guess it in the chat. One word or feeling that you've given that hiring manager or recruiter that's going to say, yes, I want this person, with everything else being equal. What's the one word that you can exhibit?
We have
make the difference.
Integrity, gut, confidence, passion.
Okay, who said passion?
Daniel.
Yep, that's okay. That's it, passion. They actually said it in the video. So that's the word. When all else is equal, hiring managers, recruiters, everywhere, all over the United States, the world, they said everything else being equal, who are you going to hire? You're going to hire the person that exhibited the most passion, who wants the job the most, who is excited about coming to work for your company. That has to be exhibited in your interview style and what it is that you're saying and how you're saying it and the emotions that you're giving across. So you got to practice the passion. It's important to practice the passion. How do you do that? So whoever gets that is going to send out that book. Make sure you send Carly your address, so we have it, and you're hired. So that's the bottom line. So, you know, we want to make you want to get you hired. It's about, you know, showing that passion, exhibiting confidence, practicing, using these tips to really help you land the job of your choice. We're going to take some questions. Oh, one last thing, thank you notes. So really important, afterwards, you can send a thank you snail mail. I always say you can do both, send an email. Please check the spelling. My friend at Crozier says she gets thank you cards all the time that say C-R-O-Z-I-E-R. So make sure you spell the name of the company right, their name. Sometimes mistakes in that letter will help you, will not get you a job. So if you do get it, that's great. Follow up, it's really important. So you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. We're out there, and thank you for your time, and I'll take some questions. Anybody have any questions about interviewing? Thank you for that person who brought up the virtual, and we'll make sure we have to add that to our slide. And you can look at our job openings. We're real busy. We just got a big project in. We're going to be looking for a couple hundred health insurance licensed agents for one of our clients. We have a big project just came up. So if anybody is a licensed health agent, please send me your resume or give me a call or send me an email. Any questions about interview or anything crazy that might have happened to you in the interview that you weren't quite sure and you didn't know how to handle? Anything anybody wants to share or ask me about interviewing? I'm here.
So there was a question that had come up regarding men wearing suits, and also like, should you wear a suit if you're doing a Zoom interview or a virtual interview?
Yeah, so here's the thing. I would, if I was, if I'm going to be asked to do a video interview, I would put the suit jacket on if I was a guy, and I'd have a collar shirt on. Maybe you don't need the tie depending on the level of the job, but I would definitely put the blazer on. Yeah, I'd make it look great. Yep, for sure.
Another is, what happens when you're on a Zoom or a video interview with limited time and you feel really rushed?
I think, well, see, people that have the free version of Zoom only have 40 minutes and that's it. So you got to get all your information out in 40 minutes or you're just going to be cut off at the knees. So, maybe you can, I don't know, you can't really ask them and say, hey, are you on the free version? But I think you want to try to get as much information in as possible and then let them know, or they can say, or how much time do we have allotted for this interview? You can ask up front because then you'll know to be able to keep track of the time. That would be my recommendation. If it's only a 30-minute, then they'll let you know. Just say, look, I want to be mindful of your time. So I just wanted to know, are we allowing a 30-minute, interview, or do you think it might go a little longer because I just want to be mindful of your time? So I would ask that question that way.
How would you handle a you're overqualified statement?
Yeah, I mean, people say that, they might say that, well, you think you might be overqualified. And you can say, well, there's been changes in my life that will, kind of afford me to take maybe a step back or a different kind of position. And, you're getting the best because I might be overqualified, but I can bring more value than somebody else that can, to match up with the job. So make me an offer. Mm-hmm.
Another is, what's an alternative to having video interviews in the bedroom if that's the only space that you have when you have a bunch of family at home?
Have it in the bedroom, but don't have the bed in the back. Try to turn it around. Whether you try to turn your back, if you can, to the wall, so the wall's behind you, like in my section, if you can do that, or put up the virtual background.
So like my background, Laura?
Huh?
Would that be acceptable? Because I'm in the bedroom right now.
I don't know. I can't see. I'm not scrolled down that far. Hold on.
Oh, it's okay.
I can't get down there. Hold on. Let me say. That's fine. I don't see the bed.
Good.
Yeah, it's fine. Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yep.
Cool. Thank you. This was awesome, by the way. Thank you.
Good. Thanks, Dan. Thanks for joining in.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
I don't see any more questions.
Yeah, plain background is preferred if you can. I know it's hard. We're in our houses. We're moving things around. People are at the dining room table. One person's at the kitchen table. Somebody's in the bedroom. Somebody's in the dining room. We're in the middle of a pandemic. Got to try to do what works for you, but definitely suggest if you can get those virtual backgrounds up, get the virtual background up. And Dan, if you're on Zoom, I can certainly help you with doing a virtual background. So we can definitely get that to you.
No, the only thing is, Laura, with my version of iPad, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, that happened to Monarch. We had to get some newer iPads because we couldn't do it. Yeah, some versions you can't. So you're kind of forced with that. Yeah.
Well, what I have right here, is that acceptable though? I mean, it's not.
Yes, it's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, and you can even get just a plain back like a shower curtain or something like that and just hang it up in the back. I know that sounds crazy, but I've seen people just get a cheap shower curtain and hang it up and then fix the camera angle. Nobody's going to know it's a shower curtain. Just put it in the background.
Okay.
There actually is another question, Laura, about wearing makeup. So someone said that they don't feel necessarily confident not wearing makeup, but if you have to wear a mask, then you can't wear makeup. So is there any suggestions there?
Yeah, I would definitely say put your makeup on. So what? You're just don't do the lips, right? So put your makeup on. They're going to see you from this way up. Make sure your eyebrows look really great because this is what you got, right? You got your eyes. You can explode your eyes now, right? Or exploit your eyes, but don't do too crazy on the eye makeup. Nothing blue or crazy green, anything nuts. But yeah, I mean, people will see you from, you know, the top up. So I would definitely wear the makeup, but I would not put the lipstick on. I'm saving a lot of money not buying lipstick these days. That's for sure. But it, yeah, I would do that, especially for in person. Anything else?
Someone said, what if they want to shake your hand?
Yeah, no.
Elbows.
I just read something. I think it was on my Good News Network. I subscribe to that, and this is the new handshake. It's like this. This is what we do. So if the hand goes out, you want to go like this, you know. So that's no shaking hands, or just, you know, nobody's shaking their hand. I doubt that that's going to happen. Not in today's world. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
somebody else had asked,
give it a thumbs up. You can give a thumbs up if you want to do that. Instead, this sounds like don't talk to the hand, but you can do a thumbs up. You know.
Somebody else had asked, what's the protocol for removing masks during the interview?
Yeah, so that is really, really hard. So one of my clients, we were just talking about that the other day, and they did not take off their mask in the face-to-face interview. They kept their mask on, and they asked the candidate to keep their mask on. And it was difficult, but they did not want to have the mask on. So I think you have to ask, what is the company's protocol? How do you feel about me taking my mask off to answer questions? Do you prefer me to keep it on? Companies are actually asking the candidates to keep their mask on, believe it or not. If they're in a big enough room though, they can take it off. One of my other clients has a big 6-foot table, 8-foot table in their conference room. Even though they are opposite ends, they were able to, at that point, they were able to take their masks off. So it depends on the situation, but definitely ask. It's a different world out there for sure.
Someone said regarding social media software, can they see more than your profile picture if you have your account set to private? It depends.
Yeah.
Depends on which social media platform you're talking about. LinkedIn, if it's private, typically they can't see anything. Facebook, your posts are set differently.
Yes.
So you might have a private Facebook page, but there's a possibility that you've been posting things publicly. There is a setting that you can change to make all of your posts private, so only your friends can send that. I can find that, Laura, if you're okay with that, and send it out.
That'd be great. I'm glad you're the marketing guru answering that, Carly. Thank you.
No worries.
You have to be really careful. Yes, if you have, yes, people can see your post. So yeah, set it on privacy if you can. Yep, thanks, Carly. Anybody else have anything? If not, thank you so much. And hold on, we're going to give out our $50 gift card. So what I did is I just put everybody's name in here that registered. You have to be present to win. Here's our $50 Amazon gift card. And when we call your name, if you are here, please let me know. Let Carly know in the chat, and we will send you out the $50 gift card. This is for Kalina, K-A-L-I-N-A Harrison. Is she on our call today? I don't know if she is. If I saw her name.
I
don't think she is on.
No.
Yeah, because everybody signed up and some people are jumping in on different sessions. I just put everybody's name in. Okay, I'll pick another one. Okay. Here we go. Carol Aiken. Is Carol Aiken on the call? A-I-K-E-N?
No, she actually emailed me and she said she wasn't going to be able to.
Oh my gosh! Okay. Kathleen Noce, N-O-C-E.
Yes, looks like she's here.
Yeah, Kathleen, third time's a charm. All right, Kathleen, if you can put your address in the chat for us, we'll send this out today, the $50 gift card. So thank you so much for joining. If we can help you find a position, please reach out to us, Kasper@monarchstaffing.com. Companies are starting to hire. We are very, very excited about it. So thank you so much for being here, and hopefully you can land that job of your dream job of your choice. Next Wednesday, we're going to be doing our final boot camp. That is on how to leverage a recruiter in your job search. Time is 12 o'clock next Wednesday. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Land that job.
Thank you.
Yep.